Hi friends! So many of us are familiar with the emotional and physical benefits of essential oils. And if you've just got started using your oils, you've probably already had some really amazing experiences with them in those categories. But as some of you may not realize, essential oils are also a great addition to any home kitchen. They add incredible flavor and can often substitute your dried herbs and spices and citrus that you would normally use fresh. So today we're going to talk about some of the basic uses of essential oils in the kitchen and how to get started. First, let's address the question of whether essential oils are safe to use internally and in cooking. So if you've been a doTERRA user or been to one of our classes, you've already been educated about the high quality of doTERRA essential oils compared to most of those on the market. And we know that doTERRA essential oils are the purest in the world and that they are safe for internal use. So if you pick up a bottle of essential oil at the health food store and it says shake before using or flammable, you might want to question whether or not that's safe to use in any aspect at all. With doTERRA essential oils, we know that they are sourced from the best environments around the world and that they are grown completely free of chemicals. We never introduce chemicals in any way at any part of the process. And then we also send our essential oils to third-party laboratories that test them extensively for impurities and make sure that they are absolutely safe and 100% pure to use. The second tip to know whether your essential oil can be used in cooking or internally is to look at the bottle itself, and it's going to tell you whether or not that is made for internal use. So I can pick up my lime essential oil here, and on the side of the bottle it has something called supplement facts, just like you would see on any nutrition label on a food item at the grocery store. So this is based on the FDA standard, their list of things that are generally recognized as safe to ingest. So, and also think about what essential oils are taken from herbs, spices, and citrus. And those are the ones that are generally the best to use in cooking. There are a couple of floral oils that are also really nice to complement citrus in dessert recipes, and I'll show you what those are. So before we jump into some of the fun stuff on how to start cooking with essential oils, why in the world would we want to cook with them anyway? Well, I enjoy cooking with essential oils because oftentimes fresh herbs go bad before I can ever use them. So sometimes I would pay about $2 for just a tiny little bit of dill or basil from the grocery store, only for it to go bad after using one or two sprigs. And so it was a great waste of money. Well, now I can use 1 drop or less of that same essential oil in my recipe, and that bottle of essential oil will last me years and years and maintain the freshness. And so I save a lot in the long run. Plus, I get other benefits from that same bottle of essential oil on the physical realm. So I'm getting a double use out of that bottle of essential oil. Also, depending on what part of the plant the essential oil is distilled from, you'll get different flavors. And what I have found with cooking with essential oils, I get a much more potent flavor with them when using less than when I was using dried or fresh herbs. So you get a lot more bang for your buck whenever you're using essential oils. Also, you get the health benefits that come from the essential oils whenever you're taking them internally with your food. So if you're using an essential oil that is great for digestion and you're incorporating it into your dish, it's going to help you digest that food better. So I love all the extra benefits that come from cooking with essential oils. The essential oils from citrus actually come from the rind. So what doTERRA does is they take the rinds from our citrus fruits and they put them through a giant press that squeezes and presses the essential oil out of the peeling. So you can use the essential oil of, say, lemon or lime whenever your recipe calls for the zest. So typically 1 drop of a citrus oil can substitute for 1 teaspoon of a citrus zest. So if the recipe calls for the zest from one citrus fruit, you can use 3 to 10 drops of that citrus essential oil instead of the zest. So depending on what flavor you need for that recipe, start at 3 and kind of work your way up from there. I love to use citrus oils in the icing for our birthday cakes. It has incredible flavor. So one of my favorites is to put wild orange oil into vanilla icing. And at the last birthday party that I did this, all of the kids kept coming back for seconds, and even the grown-ups. They said, this is amazing. This is one of the best birthday cakes we've ever had. So it's really easy to take kind of a mediocre baker like myself and really wow everybody and make them think I'm a lot better than I really am. So let's talk about herbs. So I love to use our herb oils in my savory cooking, and these are the green bottles. So things like marjoram, thyme, basil, cilantro, fennel, rosemary, and dill. These pack a lot of flavor, and a little bit goes a long ways with these. So the way that you're going to use herb oils is a couple of ways. My favorite and most often used is in a salt base. So you can find your recipe for like herbes de Provence or an Asian blend or a Latin blend, and you mix it ahead of time in some salt. So I like to use an earth salt for mine, and just use a spoon to mix it all in evenly, and then it's ready to go anytime. So I like to sprinkle this in on roasted vegetables, scrambled eggs, soups and stews, really pretty much any savory dish. And it packs a lot of flavor, and it makes me seem like a whole lot better cook than I am. A little bit goes a long ways with these. So whenever you're using the essential oil directly into a recipe, you're not going to just take your bottle of rosemary and drop a little bit around on your roasted vegetables and try and mix that in, because it's not going to work. So instead you'll do a salt, or another great way is to pre-mix these or mix them right there on the spot in your olive oil, and then that way it's emulsified evenly into the olive oil, and then you can drizzle that over your dish. Keep in mind that whenever you're using the essential oils in cooking, if you are mixing them into the recipe and then say baking them or cooking them, you're going to have to use a lot more drops, because these are volatile compounds, and when they're heated they're going to start to evaporate. So if you're putting them in at the beginning of a recipe that will be heated or cooked, you'll need to use a lot more drops. But if you're using it like in a soup and you don't want to put the salt in, what you'll do is just dip a toothpick down into, say you've got your rosemary, just put the toothpick down in the orifice of the oil bottle and stir that into your soup at the end of the recipe, because that's going to give you more flavor, as if you put it in at the beginning and you're going to cook off some of that flavor. Floral oils are also really potent and strong, and you really just want a hint of that flavor in your recipe. So say you're making a lavender lemonade, some really delicious recipes for that. You're just going to start with the same idea with the toothpick. Just dip it down in there and swirl it in and see what it tastes like. Because otherwise, if you get too much, it kind of tastes bitter. And it takes the fun out of the lavender flavor. Geranium is also a nice one that's used in sweet dishes. This one is great in those middle truffle or icing layers or in your icing, but a little bit goes a long way. So just start with a toothpick and swirl it in and see how you like the flavor. So let's talk about spice oils. These are your things like ginger, cardamom, black pepper, cassia, cinnamon, cumin, and clove bud. And these can be used in sweet or savory dishes. The two of my favorites are cinnamon and cassia. Cinnamon is also known as Ceylon cinnamon, and this is real cinnamon. And cassia is what we know here in the United States as cinnamon. So if you've ever gotten those really cute rolls called cinnamon that you use in your apple cider around Christmas time, that is actually cassia. That is not real cinnamon. And most of the ground cinnamon that we get from the grocery store is actually cassia, and they are similar, but their flavors are still different, and the potency is very different. So cinnamon is going to be quite a bit stronger than your cassia. This is what cinnamon, real cinnamon, looks like. We got this from a spice farm in Costa Rica, and the bark is not quite as tough, and it's more like flaked off than rolled off like the cassia is. So with cinnamon, you're going to use 1 drop of cinnamon to substitute for 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. And then for cassia, you'll use 1 drop to substitute 1 teaspoon of ground cassia. So that's kind of the difference in the potency there. If you're using it in a drink recipe, or say like for some yogurt, my favorite way to use cinnamon, take a toothpick and dip it down and swirl it in, because cinnamon is really strong. And if you get too much of it in your yogurt, for instance, it will kind of burn your lips. Cassia is not as potent, so you could do more on that one.